We are recording.
We are
Hey,
recording.
everybody, we are recording. Dimitri Panos here, along with my great friend and colleague, Kit Bowen. Hi, Kit.
Peace. Bye.
We are here with another episode of KDM, which stands for Kit and Dimitri, and the M stands for movies, because that is
Yay.
what Kit and I do. FYI, we're not influencers. Nay, nay. No offense to influencers. Good on you. We are honest to goodness movie critics. Yes, that is what we do when we talk movies. So, yeah, that's what we do. I just wanted to make that differentiation. Help me out with the
Yeah.
word here. See,
Different. Yeah.
an influencer would never screw up that word, or maybe they would
Yeah.
just never use it.
They probably
But
wouldn't.
that's the
No.
difference.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So we love to talk movies. We're good friends. And, when you see a movie, who do you end up talking about the movies with? You talk about it with your friends, sometimes your family. My family's all the way in Boston, and they don't like movies as much as I do. And they will probably not see the movie we're going to discuss today.
No.
Woo!
No.
Wedding
My
bells. I
my
smell
mom
wedding
is
bells. Go ahead. Go
my
ahead,
mom
your
is someone I
mom.
definitely talk to about movies, but in her later years, she's not as into everything as she used to be. So I do not think she'd like this. But I don't know. I could be
Oh,
wrong,
my
but
mom? My mom about the movie, and the movie we're talking about today is Maggie Gyllenhaal's
Gillen,
Gyllen, sorry, Mary Gyllenhaal's interpretation of The Bride. So we're going to talk Universal
Frankenstein,
classic monster
the bri-
movies. Well,
the
it's The
Bride of
Bride.
Frankenstein. Yeah, the name of the movie's The Bride,
This
but
one,
it's yeah.
yeah, this is, and we're going to talk about this because this incorporates, believe it or not, this has actually been kind of a big year for Universal classic horror movies. But today, we are talking about Maggie Gyllenhaal's interpretation, reimagining of The Bride. Can't wait to get into it. Yes, you were talking about your your mother. Get my mother. Her bar is the movie. Is it nice? And I would be, yeah, no, not this one, mom. No, definitely not nice. So,
Well, my mom's not afraid of weird, you know, she's not, but like I said, I just, she's getting a little more discernive in her older age, so.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. So, let's get right into it. So, The Bride, as I said, it's a reimagination of the 1935 release directed by James Whale, The Bride of Frankenstein. I have a quick trivia question for you, Kit.
Mm.
The Bride of Frankenstein was played by Elsa Manchester. She played
Lanchester.
I'm sorry?
Elsa Lanchester.
Manchester. Yeah, Lanchester. Did I say Manchester? I'm
You
thinking
did.
Manchester by the Sea. Do you know that she was also in, years later, a very popular, and I'm going to give you so many hints, like there's just no way you can't get it. She was at a very popular Set the World Afire, turned special effects on its heels, Walt Disney musical, and she was in the movie, and she's featured in the movie fairly decently.
Well, see, I
Star
remember
Dick
from
Van
Belle.
Dyke.
I remembered her from Belle Book and Candle. That's one of my all-time faves. Like a little favorite there. She played a witch in that. Um, I don't know, Mary Poppins? I don't know,
Mary
actually.
Poppins, you are
Oh,
correct. She's a suffragette. You are correct. She's a Mary Poppins. That movie came out in 1935. We are talking 2026. Maggie Gyllenhaal's interpretation of it. Maggie Gyllenhaal, as writer director, to me, she swings for the fences on this. Does it
yes.
all work? No, but she gives you a wedding shower of bullets and mayhem, along with Christian Bale and probably the woman that's more than likely going to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. That is Jessie Buckley,
Yep.
who plays the bride. This reimagining, it's kind of a cross of movies of like Bonnie and Clyde. A lot of Bonnie and Clyde in here. There's
Yes.
even a tad salt and peppering of Young Frankenstein.
Yes, there is.
You will also see, you might also think of movies like Badlands and or the Sugarland Express. It is somewhat of a road movie. And basically, we are, which I found to be very interesting, around 1935-ish, 1934, 1935-ish. The Frankenstein monster, okay, which the book written by Mary Shelley. And for Frankenstein, they seem to go back to the book as far as how long Frankenstein has been alive, let's
Right.
just say, right? He has been roaming the earth like Cain from Kung Fu, and what he has come to find is that he is lonely. And he finds himself in Chicago where he tracks down a Dr. Euphronius, which sounds very much like Dr. Petronius, who is in The Bride of Frankenstein back in 1935, as played by Annette Bening. And she has, well, kind of looked up to the Dr. Frankenstein as an inspiration, and she's done her own types of experiments, let's say. And Frankenstein just gives her this proposition. He goes, I want to find a mate. I'd like to have someone,
Yeah.
to walk the earth with. I'm lonely, and
Right.
it happens.
Which has been a trope, not trope, which has been a part of the Frankenstein, every Frankenstein movie or iteration or whatever, they all have that because he is inherently alone and isolated and
alone,
that kind of thing. So he's always he wants to have some kind of companionship. So,
and he can't find someone like him. Let's say she agrees. Meanwhile, we have Ida, I believe her name is.
or
And
Penny,
I'm sorry,
or Penny,
say that
depending,
again.
or
Or
Penny.
Penny, but Ida, who is she's is frivolous the right word? No, she's flamboyantly, openly, kind of. She's good looking. She's almost like a flapper girl. She's within this, dare I say, nefarious. She's involved with this nefarious crime kingpin. Well, she's killed, murdered, perhaps
Yeah,
accidentally, perhaps not.
by the way, we do
Go
have
ahead.
spoilers.
Yes, and if you don't already, well, the Bride of Frankenstein, they dig up dead bodies, hence, much
Yeah.
like Frankenstein. So she's dug up, she's brought to Dr. Euphronius, who brings her to life. When she awakens, she has no great memory of her past, and Frankenstein now has a mate. We have two monsters who are trying to find their place in the world. And one thing about these monsters, particularly Frankenstein, who goes by Frank, played by Christian Bale, who'd have knew? He loves movies, particularly musicals. Musicals that star the great Jake Gyllenhaal, Maggie's brother. He's actor Ronnie Reed. And Frankenstein relates to Ronnie Reed because Ronnie had suffered, I believe it was polio, which he survived. And he even goes on to explain one of his shoes is different. And yet, how can he dance and sing so well? And he inspires Frank. Frank wishes that he could be as cool and he could sing and dance the way Ronnie does. So they just go off on their adventure and then they become embroiled and, they're not being quite treated well. People are aghast. People are afraid. And one thing leads to another. Someone gets shot. And this puts our monster couple on the lam, on the run. And I don't want to say that it's a crime spree, but wherever they go, chaos and mayhem seem to follow. And meanwhile, there are two flatfoots, two cops seeking to run them down and find them, played by is it there's so many Skarsgårds.
Peter Sars. There's no K.
So sorry. Sarsgaard, who plays Jake Wiles, and then a welcome return, at least for me, Penelope Cruz, who plays his partner, Myrna Malloy. Great detective name, by the way, is Myrna Malloy. Mm-hmm. And they're hot on their trail, following the bedlam and chaos that they leave in their wake. This to me is a pure reimagining of The Bride of Frankenstein. I am a huge Universal classic monster movie lover. And I got to be honest, when I first saw the trailer to this movie, it's like, whoa, okay. This is either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad. And for me, I found it to be really good because it was so different. Ms. Gyllenhaal didn't adhere to, there was no book for The Bride of Frankenstein. She uses The Bride of Frankenstein as her reference. In fact, it even starts off very similarly to how The Bride of Frankenstein begins in a movie in which Isla Lanchester is playing Mary Shelley. And she's with other authors. And she talks about how writing Frankenstein on a bet, but it's during a thunderstorm, and they are each tasked with telling a ghost story, an original ghost story. And Mary Shelley, played by Ms. Lanchester, goes on to tell the story of the Bride of Frankenstein. And here we have Mary Shelley again, played by Jessie Buckley. And she, too, is telling a ghost story. But the one caveat is when she zooms in on Ida, it's just bizarre, possesses her. I'm going to possess her, and this story is going to be like through this woman's eyes. Number one, I thought that was a great start. I really loved it because right off the bat, it's just different. It's macabre. It sets up a ghost story in a way, and it even says this is a horror movie or something which can be much more horrifying, a love story. And of course, the love story between the bride and Frankenstein, and each finding their own way, but particularly the bride, Ida, who is trying to figure out her place in the world. And this is a time in which women, back in the 30s, had their place in the world, but this bride, oh no, she has a lot to say. She is not going to be put down by men or anybody for that matter, and she has an independence, and she is strong-willed, and to many, she is a monster because of that and need be put down. I found this to be, look, it's not everybody's cup of tea, this movie, but I found it to be refreshing, a breath of fresh air from Maggie. I got what she was going for. I loved that this movie was just weird and different, and it was almost like a fever dream at times. There was musical numbers in it, to putting on the Ritz, which, look, you're a young Frankenstein fan, kid, right?
That was fun, yeah.
When they started going on that, all I could think about was, oh, the Ritz! So I go, Maggie's love and passion for cinema, to me, is all up on the screen. And it was, I loved it. I loved it for that. I loved it that it was different. It's not perfect for me. It's not a perfect movie, but I just love that it was different. It was an ode to other movies, whether they be a comedy or whether it be crime dramas. And also, I loved there was a bit of a meta feel to it. When I mentioned Bonnie and Clyde, that is the most direct reference I think that the movie takes from. And as they were going across the country, they were building this following, and the bride and the monster, the fashion became something of like pop culture. Women took and gravitated toward the bride because they believed in what she was standing for, and they would start to dress like her, be like her. I call this meta because when Bonnie and Clyde had come out, number one, for the time, one of the most violent movies to be made. However, it took over the world, and part of what took over the world was its pop culture zeitgeist. Peoples began to dress the fashion of that era of Bonnie and Clyde. They embraced. And so in this movie, something similar happens here, and I just found that so fun. And I go, wow, what a great way to tie in these movies. Also, the ending of Bonnie and Clyde, you know, spoiler alert, they die.
Do they?
In a in Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, I'm pretty
No.
sure
Oh,
they
Bonnie and
do.
Clyde, they
In
do, but
Bonnie and
not in
Clyde,
this one.
yeah. But here, like, there's that famous. I said it's a very violent movie. Maggie Gyllenhaal somewhat recreates the Faye Dunaway thing. There was
Yeah.
many call that the ballet of death. You know, Faye Dunaway getting shot in the car. There's something similar happens here. I just loved her nods to it and how she incorporated a lot of these themes into this movie. Ultimately, when I left the theater, uh, I just came home. I thought about the movie a lot, and I was like, wow, you know, it's a breath of fresh air when somebody takes a big swing to make something different, to make something artful, to make something cinematic.
Okay, can
And
I talk
she
now?
accomplished that. Yes, she can. Yeah, 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 yeah. You're going in. Hey, you asked me to
I
go
don't agree
first.
completely, no. I think the big swings were a little too disconnected in my opinion. Um, I enjoyed I enjoyed Jessie Buckley's performance, you know, hands down. She was what drove this thing through Maggie Gyllenhaal's eyes, obviously. And I do love all the nods. I didn't actually see The Bride of Frankenstein, so I didn't know that's how it started. So anyway, I thought that was very cinematic and cool. But
You didn't see The Bride of Frankenstein?
no.
Oh,
But
sure.
but I I don't know, it just seems too disjointed. I really wanted it to kind of be more like Bonnie and Clyde. So, um, you know, I felt like that was a very interesting, you know, take on it. So you've got an homage to the Frankenstein lore, but then you also have the Bonnie and Clyde situation. But there wasn't enough like crime. Like I wanted them to go on a crime spree, not just, you know, run into all these, you know, obstacles and people not understanding them and chasing them, and so they end up killing somebody or killing, you know, whatever, or she gets rid, you know, all that kind of stuff. I would have rather it would actually have been them on a crime spree. Not like an accidental crime spree in my opinion. But I mean, I appreciate what she was trying to go for. I do. I just felt it was too disconnected. I just didn't understand why things were it just didn't make if they had if she had stuck with the Bonnie and Clyde but kind of had the Mary Shelley possession thing, which was interesting, but then it kind of got
It was
lost.
interesting.
So it was at the beginning she kept going in between the two, and I thought that's kind of fun. But then she lost it. Then she was just back to being Ida again. And then sometimes she would kind of check in with Mary and like, oh. But I know the going between the two accents and stuff. I mean, I thought that was interesting. I didn't understand why it had to be like that. Maybe she could have, I don't know. Maybe Mary could have just been, you know, in the background sort of dictating. And the whole
Well,
idea of her
remember too,
creating this,
Mary.
the whole
Well,
idea of her creating this sort of craze with women standing up for themselves. great. I mean, the idea is awesome, but it just seemed misplaced. It's like, okay, so
Hmm.
why? I get it, I just, I don't know. It just didn't connect. The dots did
Gotcha.
not connect with me. On an
Mhm.
individual level, it was definitely different and unique, and obviously there was a great, Maggie
Hmm.
obviously does love cinema. You can see that for sure, and she's got all of her favorite people in it with her too, like her husband Peter, who plays the cop, and that too. That relationship was so weird to me. I'm like, Wait a minute. I don't know. I
The
mean, with
relationship
between Peter
between Jake
Sarsgaard
and
and
Myrna
no, yeah, Jake
and
and
Penelope
Myrna.
Cruz. Yeah. Hmm.
It was weird. I'm like, she's
Yeah.
like the brains of the operation, and he's just kind of, and
Right.
then he's like, "Oh, I was the one who caused her to be like this." But I'm like, "What? No, no, just didn't get it." Yeah, and so
I mean, because
she becomes the detective and everything, but uh, I don't know. And she's supposed to be kind of like a Rosalind Russell type, I mean, oh, I'm the smartest person in the room, and
and
I
she
don't know.
was, and I loved it.
Uh, it just didn't make any, it just didn't connect. Nothing connected.
See, I did, and that's where I disagree.
The biggest connection to me was, the two of them finding. And also, I hate to say this, but Christian Bale kind of bugged me. Once again, he can bug me sometimes. He bugged me as Batman. He bugged me. He didn't bug me as Bruce Wayne. He bugged me as Batman. And he bugged me as Frankenstein in this. He was over the top, and I don't know. Sorry. Just didn't connect.
No need to apologize. I mean, I actually love it when we have these conversations. I mean, for me, it did connect, and it so like when we talk about the two cops, when we talk about Jake and Myrna, yeah, Jake is in a he admits he's a corrupt cop. He
Yeah.
was Ida was thrown his way
But
to get him off
that
of
was kind
thing,
of that
and
kind of felt thrown in. Like, why did we even need that? I didn't understand. Why couldn't they have just been the two cops following him? Why does he suddenly have to have a
because
connection to
he's
her?
part of the corruption that's trying to hunt her down, and he admits that
Mm.
he was part of that corruption, and he also admits that he slept with Ida, and like she was thrown his way to distract him from things, and he took it as it was a payment, and he actually felt very he felt bad. He felt bad about himself. He knew that he should have been more noble. He should have been on this. And through Myrna, he sees that nobility in her, and he understands how the system is keeping her down. Like she won't become anything more unless what happens in this movie
Yeah, see, that's the
happens.
whole thing.
And I appreciate that too.
The female empowerment stuff just wasn't needed. It wasn't needed, in my opinion. The female
I
empowerment
don't know.
could have all come from Jesse's character and her trying to figure out who she is, kind of thing. And then the whole Bonnie and Clyde stuff. Those are the things. If they had concentrated on just that instead of trying to throw in all this other crap, then I would have been more I would have been more on board. Because I was on board with the idea of it, and
Mhm.
his, the loneliness and trying to find a person to connect with, and her character being kind of brassy and, mallish,
Brassy, that's a great word.
1930s mall, that kind of thing. And them going on a crime spree. That would have been my movie. I would have gone, yes, I'm
Yeah,
here.
but
You
see, I
could
could
even
have,
have thrown in the musical number. I thought, okay, you can throw that into. All right, I get it. Okay, throw that on in there. I'm all right with that. But just all the other stuff just didn't seem to make it cohesive. But
I liked it all.
I think it's a very creative and bold film for Maggie to direct after sort of her quiet entry into the directing world with The Lost Daughter, which I thought was pretty good too. Um,
Hmm.
but that was more of a quiet, sort of drama about, whatever. So I thought her kind of going the completely opposite direction of that was very bold of her and very brave of her to do that. And she put her all in there. You can tell it's up there on the screen. She's got chops. I think she's got some chops. So I'm hoping she'll continue to direct because I think she's got a great, a great sense there. So,
Yeah, I love your choice of bold because it's definitely bold,
yeah,
and I found it to be very confident. She was very confident in her means and ways of directing, but I found her very confident
yeah,
in her actors and everybody else around them. But I also realized too, watching this between, I call them B and B, it's Buckley and Bale, were
yeah,
confident in their director because they just let
yes,
loose. That
yes,
they let loose, and that dance scene before
yes.
things kind of go awry
It's a
was kind
weird
of a
one.
howl. It's weird, and a lot of the people seem to have also been getting possessed or whatever. It was a
Yeah,
weird one, but at the same time, it just brought this smile to my face. I was like, wow, this is just out there.
yeah.
And I totally get where
And
some
I
people might
liked
be going,
that.
what am
Yeah,
I watching?
yeah.
It kind of like, and they were like Sid and Nancy without the drugs, too. That was like
That's
another
the
thing that I
thing.
was
But that's
kind
what I'm
of thinking
trying to
about.
talk about. Is like
Yeah.
I just felt if it was more cohesive just on just because when they would go off and do the stuff with the two detectives or they'd go with all the other stuff and they'd kind of go away from Penny and Frankie uh I was like ugh. And then when they got back together and again I was like okay I mean that's just they were the power of the movie for me and even though Christian bugged me
Yeah.
he still did a good job it's just he bugged me a little bit.
It bugged you. So no, and I did like Jake and Myrna. I like those characters, and they're following. They have to, because they've murdered some people, whether it be in self-defense or not. Yeah, I like that dynamic, and I just ended up liking the movie a hell of a lot more than I anticipated. I bought into all that mayhem, and I kind of liked it. And for me, it was also a breath of fresh air. And, believe it or not, within the past 12 months, that's a year to you and me, this is the third remake of a Universal classic horror movie. And there's a fourth on the way. So, we had Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which I found this movie, The Bride, to be far better because it did something different. It told a story that I didn't know. I would have never guessed this. And also, this is purely theatrical. This is not going to be on VOD anytime really soon, although depending on box office. So I go for that too. Guillermo, I love you. Man, you sold your soul to Netflix. And your love of cinema, as you like to say, they don't love cinema the way you do. This movie, because it swung for the fences, I liked it more. There was also a Frankenstein movie that came out that Vertical released. Did about $11 million. It's been the hugest movie for Vertical Entertainment. And then we have, perhaps you saw the trailer last night. What is it? Lee Cronin, I believe, The Mummy. So we have another Mummy movie coming out. So Universal horror monster movies are big right now, and there was the Bride has really outside of the Bride of Frankenstein. There was another movie that came out in the late 80s, directed by Frank Rodham, called The Bride. It starred Sting and Jessica Biel.
Yep.
Jessica Biel was the bride. Sting was Dr. Frankenstein. A very interesting movie, not as interesting as this. And I don't know, I'm glad this movie exists because it is a risk. It's a risk for Warner Brothers. It's not going to be a Sinners for sure. And I think, and just full transparency, the audience I saw it with, I think they were a little dumbfounded. Like
I had some
there was no
claps.
real reaction. Did you? Oh, not where I saw this.
Yeah.
I think they were just like many silently gone okay, and they walked out. I don't know how this is going to do, but I'm just glad that Warner Brothers and the cast and crew here took the risk so that it would be on cinema. Did you see it in IMAX by any chance?
I did.
You did? How did it look on IMAX? I didn't have that opportunity. Like, did it look good? I mean,
Yeah, I mean it looked good. Yeah. Like I said, I think Maggie had some great shots there, including the whole Mary Shelley part, and the half like the 1930s, kind of I'm talking
mm,
about 1930s films. She sort of
right.
frames Mary kind of like that with the shadows and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, but yeah.
Production design was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the
And
costumes.
I'm still enamored with Jessie Buckley right now. I have a little crush on her right now. So, I'm glad that she's still kind of, because I have heard some mixed reactions of her performance in this, like calling it her Norbit. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, but I liked it.
No.
She's what drove it for me. But I just find her a very fascinating actress, and I'm so happy that she's probably gonna get her Oscar because I loved
I
Hamnet.
don't think, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to, and I don't think this movie it's not Norbit,
I
and I know
know.
many, and I don't know if that's the movie that tanked Eddie Murphy's
But anyway, I would give
chances, but
this, I'd
but
probably
what do
give
you, yeah, what do you give it?
this 2.5. Maybe I'll go three.
Okay.
I'll go
You
three because
sure? Okay.
I'll go three because I appreciate the effort. Even if it didn't connect with me, I appreciate the effort.
Yes, and that's a large reason why I'm giving this. For me, it's a four. For me, it's a four. I really liked a lot more of it than I didn't expect to,
Yeah.
because as I said, that trailer was like, oh, this could go either way.
See, and that's so funny.
So
The trailer really intrigued me. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. I'm really excited. So it's funny how things can hit you differently.
they can, yeah. Like I said, I was surprised as to how much I enjoyed it, and after thinking about it more, and how Maggie put it into the time, like of the release of the original Bride of Frankenstein around the
Yeah.
1930s, and the Bride of Frankenstein not based off of a book, so which is fascinating. So this is
Yeah.
her interpretation, and I love the James Whale. I love The Bride of Frankenstein. It's, to me,
Yeah.
it's a classic horror and thematically. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I really enjoyed this movie. Kudos to more Universal horror classics being reimagined in this way. It was far better than, say, even The Wolfman, which, oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, I forgot about The Wolfman that came out last year. That wasn't too good. So, yeah, five for me.
Okay.
Good job all around. Not five, four for me. Great job, very good, and it's a fun time at the movies.
Yeah. So let us
Grab your
know what you guys
popcorn.
think in the comments below. And if you guys have seen the film, if not, or some of your favorite Universal horror movies too, and what you thought and all that good stuff. And like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Oh.
Like, subscribe, keep going to the movies. And boy, howdy, do we have some movies coming up, right? I mean, we
Hmm.
got some fun stuff. We got Ready or Not 2 coming up. We've also got Hail Mary, which I'm very much
Pro
looking forward to.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah, I've heard it's good.
Yeah,
I've heard
Project.
it's good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that. Looking forward to that. Yeah, so many such good stuff coming down the pike. Can't wait.
Yep.
So,
So
and I can't wait to hopefully see some of these movies with you, Kit,
yes,
because
I know,
that's
I know.
awesome.
Yes. Yep. All right.
So,
So
thank you, Kit.
so yeah, thank you, Dimitri, and stay tuned for more. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.